Are you currently viewing this video from a country in which you're not a citizen of, or you are just residing? Are you a holder of this passport bearing this logo right here? In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you need to know before migrating if you are considering migrating. And this video will be relevant to those of you who are also living out of your country. If you're not within the Caribbean and you are viewing this video, do not click away because some of the things that I'll talk about you may be able to relate. So if you're so interested, continue watching this video. Hi cousins, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Shelly Fullerton and I'm a lifestyle vlogger. And if you haven't subscribed us yet, I invite you to subscribe, hit that post notification bell on all so that you wouldn't miss another upload. And if you are returning, thank you so much for rocking with me. In today's video, I'll be sharing my journey, all the hiccups, all the challenges that I've had being an immigrant. I have personally received a lot of questions from people. People have even referred their friends to me to ask me questions and for advice on how they should go about immigration status and issues like that. I decided that why not share my experience for the benefit of the others. So if you are a Caricom national, you are aware of the CSME program that we have going on. So CSME, if you don't know, now you know, it is the Caricom single market economy. It allows you, or it allows the citizens within the Caribbean to be able to travel freely seeking employment. And of course, it is limited at this time for a particular skill category of workers. For those of you who don't know by now, I am from Guyana and I'm now residing in Trinidad. Before I can begin to share all my challenges and issues with you, I must first let you know how I got here in the first place. I was in Guyana living my life peaceably, enjoying life, very comfortable for me at the time. I wasn't living with my family because I'm so accustomed living away, living by myself. So my parents are from the countryside and I relocated to the city, and there I lived for a couple of years. I was somewhere in my early 20s, like 21 or so. I had a family member that was in Trinidad at the time. That family started to grow and they invited me to come so that I can assist with, whatever necessary. Because I had no strings attached, I was just working, enjoying life, basically. When the invitation was extended to me, I thought, well, you know what? Why not? I have nothing attached. Why not go? I took up the offer. I came. Basically, what I'm going to talk about is that the things I wish I knew before migrating, the challenges I faced being an immigrant, and how I was able to, how everything fall into place. When you go to a country, they will either give you 3 or 6 months. That means you have 6 months to stay in the country and not work because you are there on vacation. That was your purpose of the visit, or that was my purpose for the visit. And then if you're granted a 3 months, then you can go get an extension. But I think I was granted a 6 months, and then I heard that you can go for extension, but you needed to go before your time expires. At that time, I really had no one to guide me, no one to give me information. Hence why I decided that this is really going to be beneficial for some of you. I remembered myself and a friend. We were living next door to each other. She's also from Guyana, and we came around the same time. We became friends because, when you migrate, you mainly look for the people that you can gravitate to, the people who share your culture and all that good stuff. So we went to get the extension. I think we didn't get it, and then we went back and we were like, girl, we need to make a decision what we're gonna do, because we decided now that, look, we like this place, we want to stay, right? Remember, we had no strings attached. I always wanted to be independent, because we want to save up money and we want to go home with a lot of money, right? That didn't work out. So we decided that, you know what, we might stay for another 2 months. I don't want to jump because there's so much to tell. Probably wondering, how is it that we're working? Yes, we did get a job. We thought now time to go back home, we didn't have enough money, so we wanted to stay a couple of months or so, make our money. We stayed a couple of months or so and still didn't make that money, right? When I first came to Trinidad, I was in the countryside. I really don't like the countryside, so I moved to the town. I left my family member there and I left my friend and I came to the town all by myself. I wasn't scared of anything. So now I began to expand my horizon, begin to travel. It was like a whole connection stuff, maybe because I knew another friend in the town side, so in the city, so I wasn't scared to go there. Anyway, I was linked with this girl. We ended up renting an apartment together. She's from St. Lucia. She was going to school. If you're looking at this video, then you know who you are. Shout out to you. I'm so glad I met you. We rented together. And then she was like, Shelly, are you going to school? I said, no. She was like, you know, if you go to school, you will get a longer time to stay. Because I'm sure she knew that you could not have been in our country for more than 6 months without your time expiring, without you becoming illegal, right? After she advised me to get into a school, you know, I'm going to get my student permit and what's not. I took her advice. I got into school. I was accepted. I went back to immigration so that I could get my extension. So I went to apply for the extension for school, but I was told that I needed to pay for my student permit. I had no money, so I left and I never went back because it said when I get the money to pay for the student permit, I could come back. So there I was trying to, with the little money I have, trying to pay my rent, stay afloat, and then trying to pay school. At that time I was self-dependent, you call it. I had no one to depend on and it was just me. It so happened that a family member left and I was here alone. Well, it really didn't matter to me because I'm always accustomed to being by myself. I started school, did my degree, and I never went back into immigration because I didn't think it was that serious. Only when I started encountering hurdles and roadblocks, then I realized that, hey, was a big mistake. But let me tell you how I got my way out of that. I'm not sure if everything is going to be covered in this video or the next part, but let me tell you the hurdles that I have encountered being not just an immigrant, but an immigrant whose time has expired. Okay, you know what that means. I went to school for about 5 years. That meant that my passport would have expired also. So I had my local ID. Trinidad wasn't really accepting that. The work I was doing, I was getting paid in checks. So I used to use my ID card and my birth paper to change that check, so I didn't have a bank account. Then the other roadblocks I started encountering, I couldn't get certain stuff. I couldn't go to get a driver's license. There's so many things that I couldn't do and it was becoming frustrating. And then the bank started clamping down on changing check for people that doesn't have their passport. I really didn't know anything, right? Someone said, you know, you can open a bank account with your student acceptance letter. I went to the bank and able to open a bank account. So there's some fast food establishments, they do accept you without a work permit. So at that point in time, I don't think that they knew I wasn't from the country, but they heard an accent. Anyway, I was employed, I was getting my salary through the bank and what's not. I worked with put myself through school with the help of my uncle ever so often sending money for me, paid my rent. I remember being on a job site and this one supervisor, he knew everything that was going on with me. So I warn you, when you see you're in a country and you're doing your thing, be careful with who knows your information. So this one person knew, and because he wanted to talk to me how he wanted to and I didn't allow him to talk to me the way he wanted to, he was so angry and went up to the office and talked wherever he wanted to talk. The office called me and said, you know what, you can't work anymore because you know you don't have any time in your book and we can't do this. Now they know they can't do this and they decided to let me go. So I was like, no, I'm here, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't have family, how long am I going to be able to pay my rent for, etc, etc. So happened, and now I'm telling you that I completed my degree. So I investigated everything before I leave home, what I needed to do in order to be able to come back, because now I have my apartment. I just didn't want to abandon everything. And then it has been so long that now I've actually established myself. I've been paying my taxes and what's not, so mind you. So I was like, what am I going to do now? Now that I've completed my degree, there was this one guy who told me he got a CSME and he was able to travel and leave and return and what's not. So what I did was investigated all of these stuff before I leave. I went to the Accreditation Council so that I could write a letter to the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Guyana to let them know that my degree is recognized. All the stuff I organized from Trinidad before I leave to go back home to Guyana. Spent about 4 months. I organized all my documents, renewed my passport and all of that, and then I got my CSME because I got a degree. So mind you, you need to make sure that you are qualified, you're skilled. Decided now, hey, I'm gonna buy my ticket, I'm gonna return to Trinidad, and I was a bit scared that, you know, the immigrations are gonna have some issues due to the fact how I got there at the airport, and I gave them my CSME certificate, I gave them my ticket. I told them, yes, I'm coming back for work. They will ask you the regular question, did you overspend? I said, yes. I said, because I was going to school, I didn't go back for an extension because I had no money to pay for the student permit. The officer escalated the matter to her supervisor, but then he was like, just allow her to go. And I got through, and you come in, they give you like 6 months, and then they tell you to go into immigration and get your passport endorsed with your CSME stamp, for which I did and continue doing. And by now, I would have spent like 5 years in the country. And if you don't know, as long as you've resided in a country for 5 years straight, you are eligible to apply for residence, and that's what I did. And I got an acknowledgement letter, and I went through the whole process by myself. I'm telling you all of this because when some of us get to a country, or citizens of that country want to tell you that, oh, you need to get married in order to stay, and that should not be the reason for marriage. And I'll let you know why I choose the residence instead of the CSME. Maybe I'll do that in another video, I don't know, but there's only so much I can talk here, and I don't want this video to be long. So let me recap. I left the country, got my CSME because I was able to get my degree. Before I leave, I had to go to the Accreditation Council, make sure that the certificate was recognized. They got a letter addressed to the Foreign Affairs of my home country. I needed to get a certificate of character because obviously I'm here. They needed to make sure everything was good. And then I went home. What I realized is that everybody's process will not be the same, and it all depends on the officer that you meet when you're coming in or when you're going on your interview. Now let me go back to where I was. After I started to get my CSME endorsed in my passport, I find that I still needed to go every 6 months and get it endorsed. And what I also need to let you know is that every time you go to immigration and whatever documents you give them, you need to keep a copy for yourself. So I find it was too hectic to be running there every 6 months for a CSME extension. I did try to get a Trinidad CSME, but and the Foreign Affairs here was saying, oh, they only grant their CSME to people with a bachelor's degree. I went and I read up how you can apply for residence, what are the criteria. So I figured, you know what, let me apply so that I don't have to be going to them every 6 months, thinking that when I apply as a resident, I will be able now to have maybe a year at a time. Guess what, instead of 6, it is now 3 months. Every 3 months, I am up in immigration getting an extension. Then I was told, because I still had the CSME stamp endorsed in my passport, and let me tell you, I never had a bad experience with an immigration officer, because some people go up and then they act really stupid, and then the immigration officer need to get vexed with them. It's all the immigration officers I met, they were really nice. And if you don't know your rights, then you would not be able to stand up for yourself and recommend certain things. Not even the immigration officer know everything. That is why it's for you to read up on the information. I was told that I need to go with one. Is either I go with the CSME or the residence, and guess what? I canceled the CSME and here is where I am. But guys, I will have to end this video right here, and I'll continue in another video. As I told you, it's a series. If you've made it this far and you think the information that I've shared is beneficial, so please share it around. Share it with someone who is an immigrant, even if you're not in the Caribbean. I'm sure some of the things I mentioned, you would have been able to relate. So I've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Check that notification bell to make sure it's on, so when I post another video in this series, you will not miss it. Until then, stay safe, guys. Bye. Oh yeah, I gotta tell you for sure, I got everything I want, but yeah, I've waited my